Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Inside LSU Baseball. I am your host, Jason Armstrong. We are going to react to LSU's opening SEC weekend series against the Missouri Tigers. It was a good one as far as the results are concerned. Never going to complain about winning a series or sweeping, especially. Everything was not great, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the good. We're going to talk about the bad. We're going to talk about just some thoughts I have. Also, today, D1 Baseball released their new top 25 rankings, and Tennessee did overtake LSU in the number one spot. So got some thoughts on that as well as kind of go around the SEC and talk about what's next. So the Tigers did, as I mentioned, get a sweep, 3-game sweep. That brings them to 20-1 on the year. So that, I want to say, is LSU's best start since like 1996 or 1997. So that's a heck of a job. That's a 15-game winning streak for the Tigers. So playing really well. You had wins this weekend of 12-5, 7-6, and 10-5. And I will say this. If you listen to the preview episode that I did going into the series, I talked a lot about Missouri and the offense that they had and some of the talented guys they had. And I think some people even commented on Twitter about Missouri being terrible. And I heard lots of people that were doing their own podcasts and tweeting things out about Missouri's, they're no good. This is an 8-8 team. And honestly, if you looked at this in a lazy way and just looked at their record and things like that, maybe you could just dismiss even the win, even the sweep by LSU. But I think that you saw this weekend that Missouri does have some talent on offense, especially. And I do think they're going to give some teams some trouble. I think they're going to give Ole Miss some trouble in Columbia this coming weekend because Missouri can hit the ball. And they've got some guys in that lineup that can really swing it. And I don't know about you guys, but I never really felt comfortable in this 3-game series outside of maybe game one. Even then, though, Missouri closed it to like 9-5 in the 8th inning. I mean, they hit 5 home runs. But this was the problem with Missouri, just like I covered. It was the free passes. They had 21 free passes. They had multiple mistakes on defense. I think they were only charged for 1 error on the weekend, but we saw like misplayed fly balls that might have been given hits. The wind was terrible and caused some problems, but there were a lot of self-inflicted kind of mistakes by the Missouri defense. I think you saw some talent out of their pitching staff. I mean, you had a couple guys come in there and have pretty good outings against LSU's offense. LSU's just too much. That offense just keeps coming at you. But Missouri was a game opponent, and I think that it was a good test for LSU. And by no means was it just some cakewalk like that. It's just a gimme 3-game, 3 wins without any kind of execution or good ball. LSU scored 29 runs on 31 hits. The offense is really, it's just really impressive for this LSU team. They batted .316 on the weekend, 4 home runs, led by the freshman Derek Hurriel, who was, 5 for 11. He hit .455. Jake Brown hit .400 on the weekend with 6 RBIs. He actually had a double, a triple, and a home run over the course of the 3 games. Danny Dickinson hit .375. He had 5 free passes. There was a couple of games, I want to say that there were games where he only went 1 for 1, but he had 2 bases on balls. Another game where he might have only had one hit, went 1 for 3 with a hit by pitch. So he hit for average and he got on base a whole lot. So we also had clutch performances by Braswell in game 2 especially. Great to see him with a 3 RBI game. You won that game by a run, 7-6, and Braswell had 3 RBIs. Ethan Fry had a clutch performance in game 3. as well as just some guys coming through in big spots. Luis Hernandez hit a two run home run in game. I think it was Friday night when you were down in the third inning, down 2-0, which tied the game. And even when, Derek Curiel hit an 0 for 3 game, but he reached base twice that game, hit by pitch, base on ball. So Jay talks about it all the time, how this team can beat you a lot of different ways with a lot of different people. And yes, there's a lot of depth on this team, but you are starting to see the number of people involved in these games kind of shrink down. I don't think that you batted maybe more than 10 people altogether. There wasn't a lot of pinch hits. There wasn't a lot of defensive replacements that I can remember in this series. And, once you get to SEC, that's kind of how it's going to go. So listen to this, though. LSU gets a 3-game sweep, and Jared Jones and Stephen Milam were combined 5 for 24. That's a 208 batting average, and you still got a sweep. Those are two of the best players in the country, and you didn't get a whole bunch out of them this weekend. I mean, you got some big at bats, and Jones, which we'll talk about it. We'll go through the games briefly. But they certainly made their presence known. But we're used to seeing those guys go, 7 for 11 over a couple game span and combined for just ridiculous numbers. And it's just encouraging to know that when your two best players aren't having their best games, that you can still find ways to get it done. Defense was once again excellent. I will put this defense against any defense. That's infield and outfield. When I think about this infield, coming into the year, I know that a lot of people talked about that Tennessee defense with Gavin Keelan at second base, and you didn't kind of know whether they were going to play Andrew Fisher, whether it was at third base, first base. You had Ariel Antigua, who's a defensive specialist for Tennessee, Dean Curley, just really good guys that can defend as well as offense. But I'm talking more about defense right now. I will put Jared Jones, the way he plays first base, Danny Dickinson and Stephen Milam up the middle, and Michael Braswell, who's a shortstop, proven SC shortstop at third base. I will put that against anyone. If you watch this team game in and game out, it's just I don't know of a much better defense out there. It's just really impressive. They bailed some of these guys out who are struggling sometimes on the mound constantly, whether it's a double play or it's a slow roller by Stephen Milam. Just a tremendous job this defense does, and you need that when you've got so many young guys that are trying to find their way on the mound, and that leads us to the mound. And if there was kind of something that I think most of you were going to be concerned about, and what I would call the bad, when you look at the pitching, 2 of your 3 starters could not get out of the 4th inning this weekend. Ianson and Shores both went 3 2/3 innings. That's really not what you want out of a starting pitcher. I mean, on the flip side, Cade Anderson, who's been steady Eddie, he got you into the 7th inning with an out. So he went 6 1/3, and your other 2 pitchers, couldn't get out of the 4th inning. And that put so much pressure on your bullpen. Combined, between Shores and Ianson, they went 7 2/3, gave up 11 hits, 7 earned runs with 5 free passes. So that's an 8.22 ERA from your 2 of your starters. And they kind of, where they struggled was in different ways. I actually think Shore's stuff looked really good at times. I mean, his fastball was, he held 97 with a lot of run. Like many other times, though, he struggled with his command. And I think that he lacked some off speed, especially to lefties. Where Ianson, his stuff looked really good, but if you go back and look, when he got hurt, it was fastballs left up in the zone, and Missouri's just, they're athletic. And they were able to put some good swings on balls, put some balls out the yard. And that's kind of where Ianson got hurt. So those are things that can be corrected, though. So I'm not What am I thrilled about those outings? No, I'm not, especially when you look around the SEC and teams you're going to be playing. But I do think that those guys will both be better. So as far as the bullpen, you only used 7 guys this weekend. We talk about that circle of trust. Only 7 guys were run out there. Now, only 3 of the 7 were good. So, and when you combine the starters and the bullpen, you're talking about 20 free passes in 3 games. Got to get better. Got to get better. Now, the good. Let's talk about the good. Zach Cowan had 2 appearances. He went 3 2/3 innings. Only give up 2 hits, 1 earned run, which I'll talk about that earned run. That was a cheap earned run. Really shouldn't even – I would not even consider that an earned run on Cowan. 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. So he was excellent. We'll talk more about him when we go through the games. Maverick Rizzi, very good. He recorded 6 outs. He only faced 6 batters. One of them was a double play through 64% strikes. And again, the only run that he allowed was really – he's charged with it, but it was when Primo came in, and we'll talk about that. But he was better than even his numbers. Rizzi allowed just he allowed a 1-out. Oh yeah, he allowed a 1-out walk, and then Primo came in, walked somebody, gave up an RBI single that got charged to Rizzi. So I'm just checking my notes there. So he gave up a run, but I thought he was better than his numbers. Jason Evans, he got the 4th save of the year, went 2 1/3, gave up 2 hits. He did walk 2, but we'll talk about that, what he looked like, got 4 strikeouts. So that were your 3 good relievers were Zach Cowan, Maverick Rizzi, and Jason Evans. You're going to need more than 3 good relief performances, though, as you go on, especially against Texas this coming weekend, and especially if you've only got one of your starters that gets into the 7th inning. So now, talked a little bit about the things that concern me. You went to your bullpen 11 times over the 3 games. All right? 11 times you called down to the bullpen, and 9 of those 11 times, the guy you brought in allowed a free pass, whether it was a walk, it was a hit by pitch. You can't do that. We talk so much about this. When you bring somebody in relief, it's usually for a couple of batters here or an inning here, and to give up the free passes at that stage of the game when things are tight, you can't do it. Bullpen threw 13 1/3 innings, gave up 13 free passes. Got to get better. Got to get better. Outside of Cowan, Rizzi, and Evans, they struggled to throw strikes. Connor Ware, 52% strikes. That's not good. And he had 2 appearances. Now, his numbers actually don't look terrible. He actually got the win one game. But, man, he's struggling with his command, his fastball. I never know he's going to hit a guy. Then he'll bounce one. I think he also had a couple of wild pitches this weekend. When he's good and his fastball, they have trouble hitting it up in the zone. And then his breaking ball is really good. I think it got something like over 3,000 RPMs at the MLB Combine this summer. Very good breaking ball. It's just the command. DJ Primo, he pitched in all 3 games, 51% strikes. William Schmidt, 46% strikes. That was a tale of 2 innings. 1 inning was good, 1 inning not good. Connor Binge, once again, it's one of Jay's go-to guys, 50% strikes. So now, before we start giving up on the bullpen, though, consider this. You had a lot of guys making their first SEC appearance, or at least meaningful appearances. So maybe DJ Primo made an appearance last year in SEC play, but, he was in meaningful spots this year. All right. You're going to have 10 of these conference weekends. This is the first one. Jay is still learning his guys. So there are guys that he's going to go to now. He might learn that he can't go to anymore. You've got some good arms that could factor in down the line. Jaden Newt, Cooper Williams, a number of guys, they didn't even pitch this weekend. So you're still learning your guys. And then the last thing is that SEC lineups are very tough, very tough. So to just expect that every game's going to be perfectly clean, the starter's going to dominate every bullpen arm you bring in, but if they weren't good, well, now you can't use them. Not the case. I put this out on Twitter this weekend, but going through every SEC pitching staff, there were 10 pitching staffs that allowed more runs than LSU did this weekend. LSU allowed 16 runs against Missouri this weekend. Only A&M, Texas, Tennessee, and Bama allowed less. So, and I get it. You could say, well, that's just Missouri. But, guys, Missouri is the middle of the pack team offense. This is not a bad offense at all. I mean, and I think we're going to see that as time goes on. Maybe they don't have the superstars, but they got some guys who can swing it. So let's fly through the games, and I'm going to point some things out, key moments. By now, you've read the box scores. You probably watched the highlights on YouTube, but I'm going to fly through this just in case and point some things out. So game 1, LSU wins 12-5. Cade Anderson was the story of this game. Worked 6 1/3, limiting Missouri to 3 runs on 4 hits, only 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. He threw 95 pitches, so that was probably the most he's thrown this year. 71% strikes. Love to see that. In the second inning, Mizzou gets out to a lead on Lovich's good player. I talked about him in the preview. Hit a two-run home run to opposite field, put them up 2-0. I believe that was their only lead of the entire weekend, was game 1 in the second inning. Cade Anderson then retired 15 of the next 17 batters that he faced. So tremendous job of bouncing back and just really did a great job. Luis Hernandez erased the deficit by hitting his own 2-run home run in the second inning, and that would tie things up. In the fourth inning, Derek Curiel came up with the bases loaded. He hit a triple, knocked in 3 runs. So now you've got a 5-2 lead. And then from there, Jake Brown, who didn't start the game, went 2 for 2 with 4 RBIs, just really productive at bats. So LSU got out to a little bit of a cushion in the 7th inning. Cade Anderson still in the game. He's got a 9-2 lead, and with 1 out, he allowed a base on balls and then a bloop single. So they pulled him right there, brought in Connor Binge. Connor Binge wound up allowing like a sac fly. So Missouri closed it to 9-3. So 8th inning, Connor Binge goes back out there, allows back-to-back home runs. So you got a 9-5 game. So Connor Binge faced 5 batters from Missouri, gives up 2 home runs and a base on balls, 56% strikes. So it's not really what you're looking for right there. Now, Milam added a home run. And then basically Zach Cowan, I think Primo came in, made an appearance, not a long one. Zach Cowan wound up retiring the final 4 batters that he faced, retired them all, looked exceptionally well. So Tigers win that game 12-5. Again, story of the game was Cade Anderson. Game 2, this is the Michael Braswell game, all right? I really was happy to see Michael Braswell get the starts. With the left-handed pitching, because I think he needed this for his confidence. We're going to need him. This guy can play. I was just watching highlights from the 2023 Super Regional where South Carolina was playing Florida. Michael Braswell was all over the place. That's a 2023. Playing second base. I mean, he was key hits, and that was against a tremendous Florida pitching staff. So, man, this guy can play ball. He didn't forget how to play ball, and we're going to need him. So I was really happy to see him, and this was the game for him. So game 2, first inning, Ianson avoids some early trouble. After a 2-out single, Brock Daniels crushed one off the right field wall, and Josh Pearson, how many times have we seen this, guys? Josh Pearson, positioned well, gets the ball off the wall, fires it into Steven Milam at second base, we tag the guy out. And that right there ends the inning. If not, they would have had second and third with 2 outs. But how many times have we seen Josh Pearson, with an assist from right field, making good catches in left field? But again, I talk about this defense, man. This defense is just so good. And that was that saved Ianson from potentially having another outing where he didn't start, his best, giving up runs. So then Josh Pearson goes out and hits a 2-run home run. So LSU's up 2-0. Now, second inning, Braswell executed a perfect suicide squeeze to put LSU up 3-0. Ianson goes out there, pitches around some traffic, allows a sac fly, so it's 3-1. You go into the fourth inning, and Mizzou takes a 4-3 lead. Actually, that's their second lead of the series. So they take a 4-3 lead on a home run on an elevated fastball, just really up in the zone. And Guy crushes one to left field. I think that was one of the days where the wind was actually blowing out to left. It was just not a good pitch. It wasn't a good pitch, and this is what I saw from Ianson this weekend. When he got hurt, he just left the ball up. So Ianson gets pulled. Ware comes in, he gets out of the jam, gets out of the inning, and then LSU, being the good offense that it does, bottom of the fourth, they answer right back. They get 3 runs. Again, Braswell gets down like a bunt single. They don't cover it great. And then Jared Jones comes up with the bases loaded and knocks in 2 runs. So you're up 6-4. Ware has a good top of the fifth, scoreless fifth. And then Braswell drives in another run, hits a line drive, single over the shortstop's head. So, again, this was really his game. Six inning now, you run William Schmidt out there. And it was a really good first inning. Now, he did walk the first batter. I'm sure his adrenaline was going. He was hitting 96 pretty regularly. Walked the first guy. Then he gets a big double play, and then he gets a strikeout. So, first inning for William Schmidt was very good. 7th inning, you're up 7-4. William Schmidt gives up a home run. Just guy crushes it to left field, and then he walks the next 2 batters. So Primo comes in, relieves him. First guy, I think he hits him. So you got bases loaded with no outs. And this could have been trouble. You get a double play, but a run scores. So it's a 7-6 game. And Kason Evans comes in and gets the final out. But look, that was getting hairy right there. I didn't like the way that felt. And Primo right there faces 3 batters. He hits a guy and walks a guy. You just got to have more strikes than that. We got to get these guys throwing strikes. 8th inning, 7-6 game. Kason Evans in the game, gives up a single, walks a guy, sack bunt, and then he walks the next guy. So 10 of the 15 pitches, that's first 15 pitches he threw were balls. Out of the first 5 batters he faced, 4 of them saw 3 ball counts. And the one that didn't was a sack bunt. So bases are loaded, 1 out right here in the 8th inning, and Kason Evans turns into an All-American closer all of a sudden. And the funny thing is, Jay Johnson talked about this. He did not have another visit, so he couldn't go talk to the freshman. And he collected himself, he reset himself, and all he did was go 0-2 strikeout, inning over. Unbelievable. 9th inning, goes back out there, and first batter, 3-2. He strikes him out on a 97-mile-per-hour fastball. Then next batter, 0-2, changeup. Nasty changeup. That is a difference maker. Kason Evans, more times than not, depending on what side the batter's hitting from, it's fastball, slider. Man, that changeup was electric. So gets the first 2 guys out, does give up a single, and then he gets a ground out, game over. So LSU escapes 7-6 in game 2, wins the series. So Michael Braswell played a huge part in that game, and just a good win. But it did get hairy at times, but you pulled it out. Now, game 3. This is the how dare you bench me on my birthday game from Ethan Fry. Ethan Fry did not start game 2 on his birthday, gets to start game 3, and boy, did he show out. So first inning, LSU jumped out to a 4-0 lead. You get an RBI double by Fry. Jake Brown hits a 2-run home run. And Shores looks great the first inning. I mean, he is like 3 up, 3 down, impressive as can be. Second inning goes out there. Mazur got a run on a couple of hits, so wasn't quite as sharp, but, he was battling. I think he made some good pitches that they were just hitting, but he was making good pitches. No big deal there. Third inning, Missouri gets second and third, no outs after a hit by pitch, a base on balls, and then a balk. And Shores minimized the damage. That was a good thing to see because it could have got ugly. So he gives up a sac fly, winds up, they scored 1 run. So you've got a 4-2 lead. In the fourth inning, so Shores couldn't get much, really much past that, though. Fourth inning, Ware replaced Shores with a 5-3 lead. LSU answers right back and gets 3 runs in the bottom of the fourth. That's what it was in the fourth inning. Bottom of fourth, gets 3 runs. So every time it seemed like Missouri would get some momentum, that offense of LSU would just hit them right back. I mean, they're so relentless, and I love to see that. Fifth inning, Maverick Rizzi replaces Ware with 1 out after a hit by pitch, and he gets a double play. And it was on like a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, running in. Just a great pitch. I'm very impressed with Maverick Rizzi this weekend. We were waiting for that. He had a couple of outings in a row that just couldn't find it. I think he was maybe being too cute. I know I didn't call the pitches, but a lot of breaking balls. He looked like he was just going right at him. In the sixth inning, Rizzi comes out. He throws 11 pitches. 11, that's it. I mean, shuts him down. Cowan wound up getting out of a bases-loaded jam in the 7th. I think he replaced DJ Primo again. And so you're up 9-4. There, and Cowan wound up pitching the rest of the game. And the 8th inning was one of the more impressive innings that I've ever seen a guy pitch. I mean, Zach Cowan's changeup right now is on a different level. I mean, it's incredible. You don't see that a lot right on right, and the way that he is able to throw that pitch, to keep it low, there's not a whole bunch of drop to it. It's not like some big eephus pitch. It just comes out his hand, looks like a fastball, and people can't pick it up. They know what he's throwing, and they can't do anything about it. It was incredible. And I want to say that no batter, he faced 3 batters, struck them all out. No batter saw a 2-ball count. I mean, that's incredible. And he finished the game for you. So overall, lots to build on, some really good things. You also saw some things that were maybe concerning, which we've touched on. And I think what's the concerning part to some is that the teams are going to get better that you're playing. And you have to be able to bring more guys in that can throw strikes. You got to be able to trust more guys. One thing you saw is you saw a couple of guys pitch multiple times. Connor Ware pitched twice. Cowan pitched twice. Primo pitched 3 times. And you've got guys that you didn't even go to. And that shows me that, there's just Jay's working his way to trusting certain guys. So, but overall, look, you'll take it. You'll take a 3-game sweep. It's the first series of the year. There's no need to panic and to start, giving up on the pitching staff. They do have to be better, but I think they will. But again, I watched a ton of SEC baseball this weekend. I watched every game. Every game. I've got the Apple TV quad box going on. I've got my laptop with 1 game and an iPad with 1 game. I know that's psycho. But anyway, I'm watching these pitching staff. It is hard to keep these SEC offense is down. So the next thing we'll talk about is the D1 rankings that come out. LSU is no longer number one. I think it's the right call. First of all, it does not matter, guys. What does it really matter, to say Tennessee's playing the best right now? It doesn't matter. So that shouldn't offend anyone. But they do. They do look the best right now. And I think what separates LSU from some of the elite teams right now, I'm talking like the Floridas and the Tennessees, and it might stop there, but it's the pitching. I mean, Tennessee's able to roll out there, two elite starters that can go deep into games that you're just not going to get a lot off of. And the guys that they're bringing in, they don't have a lot of arms that they're trusting right now at the bullpen, but the guys that they do are doing the job. And because their starters are getting so deep, all you're needing is to get like 6 outs, 6, 9 outs. You don't need a bunch of guys. And it also helps if you get a 10-run rule, to where that might have been the difference in game 3. Honestly, Tennessee not having to use anybody else to where they were able to go back to, oh my goodness, Nate Snead game 3 again to close it out. So, but that's the difference right now between LSU and a team like Tennessee. It's the pitching, it's the stuff, it's the ability to come in guy after guy and throw strikes. Now, offensively, defensively, I will put LSU up there with anybody. Their offense is good as anybody. Their defense is as good as anybody. To go where they need to go, where they want to go, you just need the pitching. And look, you're going to get there. William Schmidt is going to be better than he was his second inning out this weekend. That's his first outing in SEC play. So, that's my take on that. I am an optimist, but I'm also honest. I also make myself wait at least one sleep before I come in here and do this podcast, because it's very easy to run from the TV into the office here and just tell you everything I didn't like about it. But once I could sit back and really assess the situation, look, it was a good win. It was a good win. There's other teams right now that played well and not only lost series, they got swept. Mississippi State got swept and they didn't play bad. Florida got swept. They didn't play bad. So be happy with the 3-0. And we will be taking on UNO in the midweek and then going to Texas for a huge series. I will be doing a preview of the Texas series. Like I mentioned last time, it's worth the price of admission. I'm going to do a lot of research and make sure that you don't have to do anything but listen to the preview, and you'll have a very good handle on this Texas team and what to expect. So that's going to do it for today. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Inside LSU Baseball. We will see you soon. Go Tigers.